I have discovered the secrets of the link rate and I'll share them with you today. So what is link rate in the first place? So it's a new game mode that is situated in the game's general quest menu, where you have this big button right here that says rate, link rate, and it shows you how many of your LP you have, which we'll get to in a second. But generally the idea behind link rate is that you start battles against a powerful boss that is probably too powerful for just you, but other players are going to come in and they'll also fight against the boss on their own and then deal damage to the boss alongside you, meaning that together you'll deal more damage and kill the boss, hopefully. The way this works is, first off, you have this button here that says play. And when you do this, you are able to then start a battle against the boss. And you get to select which difficulty battle you're on. And you get to do this up to 6 times a day. And when you start a battle right here, you of course go into a battle. Now the boss right here depends on the season. Right now we have the very first season, and by the way, I've also meant to mention this, that all of the stuff that I might be talking about in this video might be different in the future if they make changes with the next seasons, which I assume they very much will, because a lot of this feels very much work in progress now and they're still experimenting a lot, I can tell. So this might be a little bit different in the future. But for now we have the sandbox witch, which also shows you what the witch is weak to. But more importantly, also, every single season there's going to be a special skill bonus that in this case just makes you get more MP per skill and makes you get more special attack damage. But generally this could be anything. This could even be things like, oh, whenever you use follow-up attack, you deal a bonus damage that also reduces break damage, also reduces break gauge or whatever. Like, it could be anything here, right? But right now it's something very simple, very, very simple right here. So you go into this boss fight and then you fight against the boss. So what is the goal is, of course, to kill the boss, but generally, more specifically, the goal is to do as much damage as possible. It shows you right here you have 5 rounds and a total of 1 hour, and this might actually change as you go into higher difficulties. You only have 3 rounds actually, starting with difficulty 9. And so you are given, in this case, 3 rounds to do as much damage as possible to this. As you can see, 15.5 million HP in this case, but the HP bar also changes, of course, depending on the actual difficulty level. Now, you basically then go into fight, you do your 3 turns, and then when the fight is over, then you yourself in this fight, you're done. You just, at this point, can sit back, you get kicked out of the menu, you go back to this menu right here, and then it will tell you that you have an open battle right here. So then if the boss has, for example, half HP left, now it is up to other players to find your battle and join that battle and do that other half of the HP bar that is left. Of course, if you kill the boss, you win. So you don't have to worry about backup. But usually you won't be able to kill the boss if you do any difficult boss. And then other people have to come in. And there's this backup request menu right here. And you can scroll through and see what other players are currently in need of help. Let's say, for example, I want to help out Sylvia right here, so I can go in and I have a special link rate team, which is mostly made up of characters that are of the correct element, or sometimes if you have a really good buffer, you might also use one that is not of the correct element, but it kind of depends on the boss and the difficulty and what the current season effect is or whatever. But for the most part, you want to use the characters that actually gain the additional effects, and in this case, only the characters of these 3 elements actually gain the additional effect that you saw earlier with the 10 extra MP on skills or whatever. So for example, right here, I want to help out my union member, and as you saw, there actually was a special sign that said union next to that person. That's because they're one of my union members, so those will always appear at the very top of the list. So when someone from your union is in a battle, you will see it at the very top, and you can then immediately join that fight. I'm doing this on auto battle right now because I'm talking at the same time, but usually you want to do this on manual. But depending on how strong your team is, if you have a strong team and you're fighting a low difficulty, you can of course do it on auto battle as well. Now you'll see on the left side, of course, the turn order, and you also see the round timer. And this round timer, at some point, if you are getting close to the maximum number of rounds, will go red, and then you will get a message that says you only have 1 turn left. And then after that, it actually says turn end on the turn order on the very left. And if you reach the end, then of course the battle is over and you get kicked out of the battle. On the very top right, you can see how much damage you've done, and the way this goes is that 1000 damage goes into 10 score. So you don't actually see the exact damage, you see 1/100th of the damage you've done. And I think they've done this so that the number doesn't get too long, because you might do like 10 million damage or something and it would be a really long number everywhere. So they reduced it by a factor of 100, so it's easier to see at a glance how much everyone is doing. You also see there's a little swirl around the profile picture. So this is everyone's profile picture because there's other two characters in here, other two players in here. And the swirl means that this person is currently playing against the boss. So I'm currently playing this, whoever this other person is with the Sana profile picture, they're also currently fighting the boss, and I can see how much damage they've done. And the other person on the very bottom, they don't have a swirling picture because they're already done. They're already done with their fight. So I'm going in here, I've broken the boss, I'm killing the boss right now, awesome. And sometimes the enemy's HP bar will actually reduce by more than what you've done, and that is because there's a server-side check to see how much damage other people have done, and then it shows you on your screen how much damage other people have done to the boss as well, so that sort of gets rolled into. So now that you've won against the boss, awesome, you get to see how much input you have, your ranking compared to other players, the clear time that it took to kill this boss. It showed you that, yes, I joined this battle, I wasn't one of the... I was not the one who started this battle, otherwise it would say triggered here. So you how many players there were, you see some rewards with gold medals, with some silver medals, and then you get an even different breakdown right here that shows you all the other players, their rankings and their input. And you can also press this button next to the characters to give them a like. What does a like do? It makes you and them feel a little bit better. And that's it. But that's fine, that's fine. More importantly though, you can see the ranking right here, first, second and third, and the ranking actually determines how many rewards you get at the very end from the participation reward. However, and this is something very important, the rewards don't drop off that much going down. Like the first character, like the first person gets like only like 10% more rewards than whoever is in 10th, if there are even 10 players. So the rewards only go down by like 1% per rank, so it doesn't really matter that much. The input number itself doesn't actually matter. The only thing that matters is your actual ranking, like first, second, third, etc. So the fact that I did 42,000 and the other guy only did 900 doesn't matter. I'm first, they're third, so we're all getting a very similar amount of rewards. There is a minimum though. Now there is a minimum amount of input that you need to even get rewards, which is usually only a couple of hundred, and it is more the higher the difficulty. But if you are seriously attempting to do damage to the boss, you should clear this every single time. The only time you're not clearing this minimum threshold for rewards is if you're just sending in a team to die, and the developers did that, so you can't just send in a level 1 team, immediately die, and then still get rewards at the end of the battle. You have to actually try. You have to actually try in order to get the rewards. But yeah, you see this guy who did 900, which is like 90,000 damage or something, and he still got rewards because he actually tried to fight the boss. Good. That's basically how a battle in here goes. So the other person that had started the fight, that other person from my union, they now have in their joint battles menu, they would see this battle appear right here in this menu, and it would show them, you have won the battle, and they would go, wow, awesome, and they would click the battle, and they would then basically get the same screen that I just got that would tell them like, hey, other people came in and they defeated the boss for you, awesome, and then they get their rewards, of course. Now, since I joined the battle, I had to use some of these points right here, these LP link points. They're not Let's Plays. So this basically is a resource to make sure that you are not just someone who puts in a bot to automatically fight every fight, because if you're like, let's say you have like 100 hyper whales, and those 100 hyper whales all were running a bot to automatically join every fight, they would trivialize the entire system within a day. So for that to not happen, you need to spend a resource to actually be able to join fights. And you can see you gain, I think it's 5 points every hour or something like that. But generally the idea is a full LP bar is 60 points, which takes 12 hours to recover. So in 12 hours you gain 60 points, which means that within a day, 24 hours, you would gain 120 LP. And you can also use an item called an LP ring or magical ring, which as of recording of this video is not actually available at any point in the game. You can't get these yet. I don't know why. I kind of feel like the developers forgot something. But yeah, you can also restore your LP up to 3 times a day as well. Okay. Now, once again, you can see the list right here. There is something noticed about the list where it usually shows battles that are either entirely fresh or almost about to end at the very top. And then as you go further down, you'll see battles that are like halfway done. So keep that in mind, by the way, if you're searching for specific battles, let's say someone else on a Discord tells you, hey, please join my battle, and you see that it's about half an hour left, then it's probably not at the top. You probably have to scroll down a little. The ordering can be kind of weird, but you can see how the ordering usually, actually some fresh battles at the very bottom as well, usually around the middle is where the middle difficulty middle time left battles are. It's weird to say, but yeah. So keep all that in mind. Now, because you need to actually deal damage to the boss after break, that means if there's like less than 2 minutes left, you might not have enough time to actually deal damage to the boss, so you might not want to join battles that are less than 2 minutes left. So I'm very sorry, Clam, I'm not going to be able to join your fight because I can't do anything in less than 2 minutes. Keep in mind also that if you join a battle and the boss doesn't die, you get nothing. Unless you're the person who initiated the fight, in which case you still get like a tiny amount of medals, but that's about it. That's at least the basics so far. There's a button that refreshes the list because it doesn't actually refresh on its own, meaning that if this timer times down to 0, this battle is still in the list. It doesn't go away from the list until you hit the refresh button. That's kind of weird. They should kind of like do this automatically. But yeah, that's basically the basics of link rate. Now, when you, of course, get rewards, what are those rewards like? Well, you get medals, you get gold medals, you get silver medals, which you get both of these at the same time, so that doesn't really matter that much between them. Like, the difference between them isn't really that big, but you can then go into shops for them and you gain a bunch of items from them. The gold medal shop has all the good stuff, basically. Not all of the good stuff, but most of the good stuff. You have Battle Shine pictures, for example. These are the most important parts. You want to get these absolutely in there. You want to get the 5-star Kyogre shots, you want to get the Magia keys. This is basically your top priority. You want to get the key shots, you want to get the Magia keys, and you want to get the pictures, at least right now. Until you have all the crystal slots unlocked for every single character, then they're not that important anymore. You also want to get some drop blocks, but there's a lot of drop blocks in here that require a lot of medals to get. There's also these crystals, which is a new mechanic that, as it says, you can give a character a random crystallis, in this case a random S tier crystallis, I think. Like a random gold crystals, I think. So yeah, these cost a crap ton though. This is an absolutely insane amount of medals, and it's not worth it until they like reduce this medal cost by a lot, and I mean like by a 10. This needs to be like 300 instead of 3,000 for it to be worth it. But yeah, this is basically what you can get here. The cores also cost a lot and are probably not worth it. So theoretically, if you had gotten all of the key shards, the Magia keys, all of the Petal Shine picture, all of the drop blocks, you could just save until next season, because the medals will carry over between seasons, so you don't have to spend all of them in this shop. You can then carry them over into the next season. Same thing with the silver medal shop, which still has some Petal Shine pictures in here and some key shards, but other than that, there's usually some lesser stuff in this shop right here. That's generally the basics, but let's actually get into the weeds, because now that we know the basics on how the actual battle works, let's talk about more about the behind the scenes stuff that is not that obvious. First off, difficulty brackets. So if you look at the number up here, the difficulty number, level 1, look at the background of the number. It changed again. These are difficulty brackets. The boss becomes a lot more difficult between these brackets. So from 1 to 4 is basically tutorial difficulty, the boss does basically nothing. Then at 5, the boss suddenly becomes more powerful, in which it actually gains more abilities, it gains more resistances, it gains way higher stats and everything. Like, it generally increases a lot in strength. But then from 5 to 8, which is the next bracket, the boss only really gets more HP and doesn't really change that much outside of that. Then you get the next difficulty bracket, 9 to 12. And you see in this difficulty bracket, the maximum round counter goes down from 5 to 3, which is a very short amount of time, by the way. And at this point, the boss becomes a lot more powerful, against even more abilities and a lot more stuff to it, and becomes a lot more deadly also as well. And then at 13, the boss goes into absolute overdrive and will very likely kill characters that are not of any of these strong elements, because it will now do a lot of damage to off-element characters. So you don't want to bring characters that are fire, forest, or light unless you're certain that you can protect them. So that's basically how the difficulty brackets work. However, there's something else about the difficulty brackets. They also change your rewards, specifically the rewards for helping out. Now, the rewards for starting a battle go up step by step with each individual difficulty. So level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Every single level higher gets you better rewards if I'm the one starting the battle, because the person starting the battle gains extra rewards, and those extra rewards increase with each individual level. However, the rewards for helping someone else out through these backup requests, which automatically happen, by the way, when you start a battle, these do only increase within between each bracket. By the way, when you start a battle, you can also set if you want everyone to be able to help, if you only want union members to be able to help, or if you do not want any help to be allowed, which I don't think I would ever want to do, by the way, because there's no point to that, unless you want to prove that you can do it solo. So, for example, you have the green bracket right here from 5 to 8, and helping someone out, no matter if it's 5, 6, 7, or 8, will always give the same rewards. Then from 9, you have the next difficulty bracket. Now the rewards actually get better. Right now it's better rewards. Now keep in mind, by the way, there is a list on the wiki on all the rewards you can get from each difficulty level, but these only show the maximum possible rewards, because it's possible that the drop rate doesn't actually give you all of the silver medals or all of the gold medals that you can potentially get. Now we don't actually know if this drop rate changes. Like, we don't know if, for example, even though 5 and 8 have the same amount of maximum possible medals you can get for helping out, we don't know if the drop rate, or rather the rate of getting more or closer to the maximum, is actually better on 8. Maybe it's more likely that on 8 you're getting the maximum amount of medals compared to 5. That is something we don't know, and we're just speculating at this point. We're just throwing stuff at a wall at this point. But we know that at least the maximum possible rewards for helping out are the same from 5 to 8. And then from 9 to 12, they get better again. What else changes between the brackets is the amount of LP required to start and to help out in a battle. So you can see from 4 to 5, it takes more LP to start a battle. And then from 8 to 9, it takes more LP to start the battle. And it also takes more LP to help out. Now, if we were to graph all this out, or rather if we had a table that just showed all of these individual numbers, we can actually look at that table and we can see the following. So I've mapped this out here on my Google spreadsheet, where I had to throw Copilot out, because you always have to throw Copilot out when you touch anything that has Microsoft on it. And we can see at the top, I've written down some of the difficulties, not all of them, only the ones that really matter, like the start and end of a bracket. After difficulty 13, the rest doesn't really matter that much, because it gets way too difficult to reliably farm after 13. And you can see how much LP it takes to trigger a battle, how much LP it takes to participate in a battle, like to help someone out. And then I've written down how many medals you can at most, like maximum, get when you participate in these battles, or if you're the one who triggered the battle. And if you're the one who triggered a battle, you also get the participation reward, okay? Now what I've not written down is how this actually changes between if you're the first in the participating characters or players, or if you're the last, like if you're 10th, for example. Because the difference is so low and you don't have that much influence over that anyway in most cases, that I've not rewritten it down because it doesn't really matter. So you can see on difficulty 5 to difficulty 8, of course, if you're one who triggers, then you gain a little bit more. But if you're only the one who participates, it doesn't go up by much. Now, if you're participating in difficulty 9, for example, you can see now, the participation reward goes up by a lot. And generally, the number for triggering steadily increases with each individual level as well. Now, after 13, I've not written down all of the difficulties, but difficulty 20 is the highest, and you can see that 20 does give by far the highest amount of rewards. Now below that, I've then also done some extra maths, what I've written down. If you were to actually divide these medal numbers by the LP required to either trigger or help out, how much do you actually get? How much bang for your buck do you actually get? And you'll see that, yeah, of course you gain a little bit more bang for your buck per LP triggered as the difficulty goes up, but the LP participation, like the per LP participation reward for medals, doesn't actually increase by that much. And in fact, it actually goes down at 13, because 13 costs a lot more, but only gives a little bit more. So it actually doesn't make much sense as far as medals are concerned to trigger difficulty 13 battles and farm them, even if you are powerful enough to do that, because it just costs too much LP and you get so much less out of it. 20 does give a lot of good returns, but even hyper whales have trouble farming that one reliably, so I wouldn't worry about 20 at all. Now there is theoretically a first time clear reward of 50 gems per difficulty that you clear, but it's not worth it spending crap tons of LP and so many hours of your life trying to clear the highest possible level that is mostly reliant on having a hyper whale come around and bail you out, that it's really not worth these tiny amounts of gems. It's not even a single roll you're going to get from this, from all of that extreme amount of effort it might take. Now, even further down the list, I've then written down, if you had a full LP bar, that is like 60 LP, and you were to spend it all just farming bosses, like both triggering and then helping out against only bosses of this difficulty, how much are you actually getting for that 60 LP? And you see, once again, it's very similar to the per LP triggered and per LP participation, where yes, gets steadily better as you go up the difficulties. There's a little bit of a jump between 8 to 9 as far as participation goes, but after that you can tell the difficulty, rather the increase between difficulties is not actually as high as it might seem, and like I said, also goes down at 13. And once again, if you look at how much you actually get across an entire day, so not just 60 LP, which is 1 LP bar, but across an entire day, which is 120 LP, you'll see that it really doesn't go up by that much. Like, yeah, it goes up a little, and if you can farm difficulty 9 instead of 5, for example, yeah, you do gain more medals, but the difference is really not that huge as you might expect from the fact that difficulty 9 is about 20 times harder than difficulty 5, because you have more than, like, you have 15 times the health and 2 less turns to do it, and it might even be more than 20 times. It might be like 30 times as hard as difficulty 5, and you gain maybe 20% more medals from 5 to 9. Is that really worth something that's 30 times harder and now something that requires other people to help? Because 5 is still easy enough that even if you're free to play, if you have a good team that you put together with good crystals and everything, you'll probably solo it, maybe even on auto battle. 9, you need like a whale to bail you out. That is not good. And if you were to play for the entire 2 weeks, you can see the maximum amount of possible here. It will be much less than this because, like I said, there's random drop rates in here. But on top of that, you also have maybe some checklist missions that give you bonus medals. But the point is, you're not going to get this many. But let's say you get somewhere between 60 to 70% of this, maybe a bit more than that, which is more than enough to get all of the important stuff from the shop that I called out earlier. Like I said, these are the things that you should get from the shop. More than enough to get all of this. Even if you only play for like half a day, maybe it should be enough for all of these, okay? If you play for those 2 weeks and you do at least those 6 battles every day, and then you help out other players just to empty that LP bar, so the LP goes like from 60 to 0. If you do that every day, you're absolutely going to have enough medals to get all of the most important stuff from the shop. You don't worry about the cores, like these like really important looking cores that you need for magic levels. They're kind of a scam because they're really expensive, like extremely expensive from the shop, and in most cases you probably don't want to spend so many of your medals on that unless you have like a really big influx of medals for some reason and you've already gotten the important stuff. Then maybe you can buy them, but for the most part they're kind of a scam, as well as the like planned things. They're also kind of a scam because they just cost way too much for it to be worth this many medals. Like, it takes an extremely amount of medals for just a single one of these crystals, so don't worry about those unless once again you have like a really big amount of influx and you have nothing else to use them on. So generally, as we can see from the maths, just do difficulty 5, or generally if you have a strong team, do whatever is the highest difficulty that you can auto battle reliably. Like, my team is strong enough to auto battle difficulty 8 reliably. If I get lucky, even 9. And with manual battle, I can do maybe 10 to 11 on difficulty levels. But I don't want to do manual battle, I want to be lazy. So I would be doing difficulty 8 every single day, 6 battles of 8, because it's the highest one that I can auto battle myself, because I don't even need help at that point. I can just throw it up, I can just go into that battle. The battle might take like 5 minutes, which is enough time for other people to come in if they want additional rewards as well. They can grab some rewards, awesome. But apart from that, if you're a free-to-play and you don't have strong teams at all, just spam difficulty 5. As you can see, you're not missing out on that much being able to farm difficulty 5 compared to difficulty 12 or something, for example. Like I said, we don't know if the actual drop rate to get closer to the maximum increases between difficulties. It's possible that, like, for example, if you look at the 2-week LP spend, gold on difficulty 5 is like 24,000 and the one on difficulty 8 is 26,000. We don't know if it's more likely you get closer to 26,000 on difficulty 8 than it is that you're getting close to the 24,000 difficulty 5, because we don't know how the actual drop rates of that work. There is one thing I just tell you guys though before I end this video, because we're about to reach the end, and that is the first 3 battles that you do each day, you gain bonus rewards. Now, you get these bonus rewards, you basically draw them out of a hat, these bonus rewards, for your first 3 battles of the day. And these are battles that you yourself start, like you have to start and then finish, like actually beat the boss 3 times a day. And then you get to draw a reward from basically some black box, some bucket, who knows what's in there. And it says that theoretically, your chance to get better rewards from this box is better if you, depending on what the highest difficulty boss is that you beat. So for example, if I do a level 15 boss, and then I do 2 level 5 battles, means I've done a level 15 and 2 level 5s, well the highest one I did was level 15. So I get the reward box for level 15, right? Compared to if I do, for example, 3 level 8s, then the highest level I did was level 8. So I got the reward box for level 8. Now, the actual contents of the box, as far as we know, is always the same in that you can get prism orbs, you can get prism gems, which, by the way, are the ones that you can farm for QP crystals and are basically useless. So this is a useless reward, but you can get prism orbs, which are nice. And the best reward that you can get from this box is 5 5-star key shards. Yes, 5-star key shards, 5 of them you can get from this box. And you can actually get an additional item if you're in a union. You don't have to do anything specific other than just being in a union gives you 2 of these reward boxes. So you might say, hey, I want to get these 5-star key shards as often as possible, so I want to fight the highest level boss I can every single day. Because it's not quite that easy. I know multiple people, okay, 2 people, who have done level 20 bosses. And out of their daily box, they got the worst possible rewards. And I also know multiple people, like 3 or 4 people, that did like level 5 witches, and all of them got like the 5-star key shards. So either that's just a really low sample size, which yes it is, but it's also very much possible that the actual increased chances for these 5-star key shards may not actually be that much higher at higher level. Maybe they're only like slightly higher. And if they're only slightly higher, is it really worth trying to bother with a really high level? Because even if I were to do this, I would need multiple other whales to come in and help me. Like against this witch at level 15, I can maybe do 12 million damage, which sounds like a lot, but that's still me. But I'm a whale, and I need multiple other whales at this point to bail me out at that point, and that is very unlikely to happen in most cases unless I like coordinate with a union of whales. So is that really worth it? Well, if you're someone who likes team play and you're in a hardcore union where everyone's talking to each other on Discord, for example, and you're like saying, okay, now everyone, we're gonna log in together and we're gonna do these battles together. Yes, then it might be worth it to do a higher level for better rewards. But for the average player, don't bother with the higher levels. Don't bother with the first time clear rewards. They're so low. Just do somewhere between 5 to 8 before ever you can auto battle, and then the daily reward box. You can still get the 5-star key shots from the daily reward box even if you didn't do anything higher than level 8 or something. Like, it doesn't matter at that point. So yeah, generally the takeaway is do the highest level that you can solo with auto battle, but do at least 5. But if you have a good team, or if you're free to play with a good team, just of these 3 elements that are currently buffed, you should be able to do 1 million damage within 5 rounds against this boss. The boss does barely any damage on level 5, so it shouldn't be too much of a difficult, I think, because you can even do it without a breaker and without a sustain. Just pure damage for the entire battle might even be enough for this, even with just 4-star characters. I haven't tested it though. So yeah, that's basically that. But if you are a whale, if you have a stronger team, like I personally, I can solo level 8, so I'm gonna do level 8 every day 6 times. And like I said, other people come in and they can help and they can get more rewards. And then after you've done your 6 battles, you can go into your backup requests and you can go in here and you can just help other people out. I would join battles that have at least 4 minutes on them, maybe even 5, because otherwise you just might not have enough time to help them. Also, something I'm seeing right now, don't leave the battle. It's possible to start a battle and then retreat and leave the battle. That's really bad. Like, yeah, you can restart another battle immediately, but you've lost the LP. And now if other people come in and were to actually do the battle right here, you're not getting anything. You basically just wasted LP for nothing. So even if you accidentally start a battle with the wrong team, probably don't retreat. Just do your best, and you probably, hopefully, have other people come in and do the battle for you. Because this way, no one wants to join this now. Because that's just a bad proposition to join this, and even if someone were to join this and beat this, the player that started this isn't getting anything and wasted LP. It's like, just don't leave battles. Just don't leave battles. But yeah, that's basically the idea. That's link rates. Generally, what I think about the system, I think it's a really good system, but it requires you to have deep knowledge on what is actually happening. It needs you to have knowledge of the maths, because now that you know the maths and you know that 5 through 8, maybe even 9 if you want to be spooky, is the sweet spot. Now that you know that, you're gonna get a lot more out of this system. But if you don't know this, you might go in here doing only like difficulty 12 and 13 and 14, whatever, and then get frustrated that no one's joining your battles because everyone else is seeing a losing battle and no one wants to join a losing battle. So that might make the system very difficult for you. But now that you know it, now that you know the maths, now you know 5 to 8 is where you want to go, now you are equipped to properly deal with what this system is throwing at you. You can still get all of the rewards. What do I want to see improved? The LP cost for starting a battle needs to be way lower. The LP cost for 20 is 12. Now you might already in your head do some maths and come to the conclusion, wait a minute, that's not enough to do 6 battles on a full LP bar. Yes, because it takes 72 LP to start 6 battles on 20. Okay, it also takes an insane amount of LP to join, but that also means, and even if you can farm, let's say I can farm 13. If I'm done farming my daily battles, I don't have LP left to help other people. And that might not be what the developers intended. Like, I can't help other people if I need to use all my LPs for my own battles. So I think they should drastically reduce the amount of LP required to start your own battles, otherwise you can't help other people because you don't have the LP left. That's something that I want to put in here. Generally, maybe the LP cost for everything in here should be a bit lower, because people run out of LP too quickly, and if people run out of LP, they don't want to help out other people anymore. Like, I can't help anyone out if I don't have LP. That's kind of a big problem. Secondly, if battles have no players in them, they should just get disbanded and removed. Like, this battle should all automatically be removed. Next up, the ordering for this. If a battle is below 2 minutes, it shouldn't even appear in the list anymore, because no one can do anything anymore if the battle is below 2 minutes. It shouldn't even show up anymore at that point. Unless the boss is like 5% HP or lower, you can have that check in there. Because this is just, my entire screen at this point is just battles that I can't join or do anything with anymore. And I have to scroll down. Like, you have to scroll down quite a bit to see battles that are actually worth joining. And that's not a good idea. Like, maybe there should be some more battles that have a bit longer of a duration further up, because now everyone is trying to maybe look at these battles. People are joining this battle right here, but look at this battle down here. No one's joining these battles. A lot of these battles, no one's joining them. Like, this battle is probably going down all the way to like 5 minutes before someone else joins this battle. But since I scroll down, I can join this battle now, and I can do it because I scroll down. But a lot of people are scrolling down. So I think that generally maybe the ordering of the events of those battles should be a little bit different, because the best thing to do is to scroll down, not everyone's scrolling down. So that's basically the general points that I have with the system. And also I think you should get more medals specifically at high difficulties, because even though it's cool that you can just do lower difficulties, I don't think that's intended. I think if you do high difficulties, and if you can do high difficulties, you should get more stuff. Right now that's not really the case. I mean, it's not really worth it at this point to do high difficulties, so maybe that should also be changed. And some of this stuff in the reward shop, like the cores and the plant thingies, the crystals, are way too expensive and should probably reduce in price. Yeah, that's basically everything that I think about the system. Overall, though, I like it a lot, and it's really nice that you can actually go and coordinate stuff with your union and that you have stuff to do now. But that was that. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell. Shout outs to my members, Lip Thumb Winkle and Symbol Tor. Become a member today yourself, and I'll see you guys next time.